Thank you, Tony, and thank you to all of the leadership of this great foundation. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Albert, and to see so many of the distinguished members of your board and the expertise that you are able to command across this country on these important issues. I've met a couple of you who are friends and collaborators, colleagues on the issues we work on every day related to citizenship and immigration. Anita is here, Aslam. I look forward to seeing others of you in the course of the day and in the course of this morning's session. But je suis très fier aussi d'être là comme représentant d'un groupe de ministres responsables de ce grand défi du multiculturalisme, de la tolérance, de la gestion de la diversité et du travail de votre fondation. Et il faut retenir à l'esprit qu'on n'est plus un seul ministre responsable de cela, on est trois. L'honorable Jason Kenney, l'honorable Tim Opal et moi-même qui épaulent les responsabilités que nous partageons avec votre fondation quotidiennement pour faire avancer nos priorités partagées. It's also a fantastic pleasure to be here and to be at this podium after Larry McDermott, bringing greetings from the First Nations, whose homeland this is, and who are such important partners for us on the immigration front across Canada, as well as with our Commissioner for Official Languages, because who will speak after me if I read the schedule properly, because if we have a tradition of settlement, if we have a tradition of welcome in this country, and if we have been able to build diversity on firm foundations and to make our strength and diversity an example to the world, it is partly because of that welcome the first European and indeed Asian immigrants and visitors received from First Nations in this part of the world. And it is, of course, also because of that first accommodation of French language and the institutions that that came with New France by new rulers in the mid-18th century. That is our hallmark. Those are our hallmarks. And that is how deep our traditions are in this very important realm that you are engaged in of race relations, multiculturalism, and all the issues that belong to that field. I'm also very excited by your schedule. I wish I could stay the whole day because to hear that an Aboriginal advocate and leader will be making the keynote address on realizing Canada's promise, I think is absolutely appropriate in this day and age. Your discussion of citizenship and the importance we all attach as Canadians to remembrance, to a proper, well-researched, well-grounded, contemporary understanding of our history, perception and reality of imported conflict, the issues you'll be discussing tomorrow about strengthening our values as a barrier, as a bulwark against extremism in all of its forms. These are the issues that I think Canadians care about and that we are engaged in as parliamentarians, obviously as the government of Canada every day. So we salute you for the agenda that you framed and for the work that you are doing in all of these fields. The fact that so many sectors of Canadian society are part of this event is a reflection of two facts. First, all Canadians, I think without exception, attach importance to working together to achieve an inclusive and harmonious Canada. And in today's world, with the interconnectedness of every society, with the instantaneity of news transmission, those are challenges which we are meeting better than many countries, but which we need to strive to continue to meet. It's also vital that everyone have a voice in seeing how this vision becomes a reality. Young people, students, those starting out their careers as citizens, newcomers to this country, and those of us who've been here a bit longer. As I mentioned, our diversity is a strength for this country, and we see in immigration, perhaps today no more than at any other time in our history, the extent to which that diversity is an inspiration for people who want to come to this country, to study, to work, to make new lives as immigrants and ultimately as citizens. And let's remember how jealously we need to protect this perspective in which diversity is seen in Canada, because someone who lived and worked fairly recently in Afghanistan, in Russia after the Soviet Union, in the first decade after the Soviet Union had broken up, I have seen firsthand, as many of you have seen in your communities, in your travels, how diversity can be and remains a source of tension in too many parts of the world. We have understood that the key to capitalizing on diversity, to unlocking that strength, lies in ensuring that newcomers to Canada are well integrated, given the best possible chance to contribute their full potential to society and within their communities. And that's hard work too. That understanding comes naturally to your organizations. We're delighted that you'll be honoring some of the leaders of those organizations with awards of excellence tomorrow night. And we salute you again for the programs and services to help newcomers adapt to a new life in a new home that many of you are centrally involved in offering. But this symposium offers an opportunity to reflect on what citizenship means today, both for newcomers and for the larger Canadian community. We spend a lot of time educating, handing out the Discover Canada Guide, the Welcome to Canada Guide, offering instruction to newcomers in what we have decided as a society in this day and age it means to be a Canadian citizen. We spend less time, certainly as a federal government, educating those people who were born here or who came into the education system after moving to Canada. And we really want that sense of citizenship to be alive and well for all of us. Our government, and I think Canadians today, aim to promote a country where newcomers go on to become active and engaged citizens in a proudly democratic society, in our labor force, and in our economy. We want all Canadians, whether they've been here a short time or for their entire lives, to embrace and participate in those shared values, our shared history, and our shared institutions. And I think one of the key words is participate. I was at an event with Sri Lankan Tamil community organization in Ajax this weekend, and the person who won the top award for volunteering, for civic participation, was a young lady, high school student still, who had been here only 4 years, and who had understood instinctively, I think because her community encouraged it, and because she herself wanted it, what it meant to contribute beyond studies, beyond family, beyond work, to the whole community. And that sense of civic engagement today is very strong amongst newcomers. But are we giving all newcomers in every part of the country the connections, the orientation, the opportunity they need and they want to have to engage as citizens? We all want citizens to work together to strengthen the prosperity and cohesiveness of a country that remains so attractive to immigrants. But to achieve this, we need a number of things. We need, obviously, an immigration system that works faster, that works to match the talent and skills of immigrants to the needs of our economy, to the needs of employers. We also need settlement programs that help new Canadians maximize their potential, that help them get that first job, that help them perfect their language skills. Nous sommes très fiers, déjà, aujourd'hui, de pouvoir offrir, pas de façon illimitée, mais de façon significative, dans toutes les régions du pays, dans toutes les provinces et les territoires, des possibilités d'éducation en français pour ceux et celles qui arrivent au Canada, et on fait la promotion du bilinguisme même avant que les immigrants arrivent au Canada. On fait la promotion aussi de l'immigration francophone partout au Canada. Bien sûr, le gouvernement du Québec livre ses propres programmes d'immigration. On en est très fiers, on est fiers de notre partenariat avec le Québec à cet égard, mais cela ne suffit pas pour répondre aux besoins du Canada fédéral vaste avec des communautés francophones partout. Et c'est pour ça qu'on vise entre 4, et moi personnellement, je préférerais 5% d'immigrants francophones hors Québec d'ici quelques années. Et Monsieur le Commissaire, je suis très fier de vous faire la promotion de Sarah Dion, qui est la responsable dans mon bureau de ce dossier, entre autres. Et on vient de visiter le Nouveau-Brunswick, où bien sûr cette vision est partagée, de s'entretenir avec votre homologue au Nouveau-Brunswick. Ça aussi, ça fait partie, ça relève de nos traditions et ça renforce le dynamisme de l'immigration, de la diversité canadienne et de notre citoyenneté dans toutes ses dimensions. We need citizenship and immigration policies that are grounded in shared history, that educate newcomers about the values of this country, and that help them achieve success in Canada. These are the principles that guide every one of our government's policies on immigration, citizenship, integration, and multiculturalism. And the government has an important role to play with you, many of the partners that we fund through our settlement programs. We've tripled the funding for settlement since 2006 across this country, play that role as well. But as any of you who've been listening to Adrienne Clarkson's lectures on citizenship or reading the book on belonging will have been reminded, and I think most of us knew this instinctively already, the work of settlement is not principally done by governments. It's not principally done by settlement agencies. It's done in that welcome that comes from neighbors, in that eye contact that happens or not in the subway in Toronto. It is established or not in communities by employers in their attitude to who we are as people who've been elsewhere, who've come from elsewhere, who can be a mystery at first, but who in Canada are mostly seen as an asset with something additional to add to this great story of Canadian strength in diversity. And it is that culture, that custom of welcome, of inclusion at every level, often in spheres that don't involve government in any direct way at all, that can make the crucial difference and can send those crucial messages to newcomers about whether their ambitions and their opportunities will find a path forward. And I think it's important to underline this because one of the strongest drawing cards we have as a country now for immigrants, for that top talent we're trying to attract, is the reputation that our cities and communities have across the board for quality of life. And yes, standard of living enters into it, the availability of jobs, the income is higher than in most parts of the world, almost any other part of the world. But it is the diversity of Canadian cities that sets them apart from the rich cities of Europe, even the rich cities of the United States and Asia these days. And we shouldn't underestimate what a precious asset that is. In Canada, we are still writing the pages of our country's histories, whether our ancestors arrived hundreds of years ago or within the recent past. Our family histories all begin with immigration. And our citizenship represents the sum of those stories. Our loyalty to Canada, our commitment to upholding its core values, freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And this is one of the reasons why we have taken the pains just this year, to look very carefully at our Citizenship Act, at the success it has represented for decades now, since it was first enacted in 1947, but also at some of the gaps and some of the strains that it came under since 1977 when it was last renewed. We have renewed it. We have passed the Strengthening Canadian Citizenship Act, and we are confident qu'avec cette nouvelle initiative pour renforcer la citoyenneté canadienne, on peut être fier d'une valeur de citoyenneté renforcée, d'un système pour accorder la citoyenneté qui fait preuve de plus d'intégrité, de système qui sera plus rapide à traiter les nouvelles demandes et qu'on serait en mesure d'honorer ceux et celles qui servent notre pays. We recognize how important immigration is to our country. We're seeking to transform that system. Express entry, the new system that comes on stream January 1st, will process new economic immigration applications in 6 months or less. This is something that would have been inconceivable in 2006, given backlogs, given legislation. We've come a long way, and I think this will give us the potential for employers, for regions of the country that need more people, to attract a type of immigrant, a skill level, a language capacity, a level of education from immigrants that we haven't seen before. So thank you to you and your organizations for being threads in the strong fabric that is Canada. Thank you for the Foundation's work to continue this discussion that underpins our thinking on so many of these fronts. Thank you for your support for many of the initiatives that we're undertaking beyond citizenship, to reform the caregiver program, to strengthen our welcome and enlarge the scale of our work to welcome Iraqi and Syrian refugees. You'll hear more on that front in the days and weeks to come. We're proud of our partnership with you. We're proud of the work you do. Merci beaucoup.